If you've spent any real time on TikTok over the last few years, you've probably run into a deeply disturbing subculture, creators faking severe psychological disorders for views, specifically the dissociative identity disorder, or DID. Skylar Shears is a trans man on TikTok who belongs to this very space where they gain views by faking a disorder for views and validation. At first, it just looked like bad acting.
Hi guys, I've been going through a lot lately.
But it didn't take long for the trend to take a sinister turn. Actual predators realized that pretending to have a complex psychiatric condition was the perfect shield against criticism, a way to deflect accountability while quietly introducing adult kinks into a digital space filled with monsters. Skylar joined TikTok in 2021 under the handle @Carebears Collective and introduced their personalities to the world. Using DID as an excuse, a 21-year-old Skylar deliberately blurred the lines between healthy age regression and adult play, all while actual minors followed their account, making it dangerously inappropriate. At first, Skylar's account looked like any other DID TikTok, where they introduced their different alters, asked their viewers about their experiences of DID and similar disorders, and tried to earn money by promoting their own business of sorts. But the harmless trauma survivor persona began to slip away the moment Skylar's behavior took a creepy turn.
Come cuddle with me. I love you so much.
To understand how Skylar Shears got away with this, we have to look at the lockdown years of TikTok. During the COVID lockdown era, thousands of isolated teenagers spent hours a day scrolling through their TikTok feeds. Right around then, the algorithm started heavily pushing a very specific corner of the app, the dissociative identity disorder subculture. Overnight, accounts blew up by showing what they claimed were their systems, multiple distinct personalities sharing a single body, and it suddenly became a viral phenomenon. For those who don't know, dissociative identity disorder, also called DID, is a mental health condition caused by repeated childhood trauma. Keep in mind that DID is an extremely rare condition, affecting only 1.5% of the global population. But despite the actual clinical rarity of the condition, many creators on TikTok claim to have it during those years. And that was exactly when Skylar introduced @Carebears Collective to the internet as their own system of alters. Initially, this system had a few alters including Noah, the rapid switcher, Angel, the protector, V, the romantic, and Dino, a 4-year-old, little. Over the years, Skylar would introduce a revolving door of alters, including Leo, Sage, Flare, an unknown alter, and many more. Eventually, they would claim to have about 22 alters. At first, Skylar had tried to frame the account as a safe space for mental health awareness, but it wasn't long before the cracks in the story started showing through. Initially, the Dino alter was painted around standard therapeutic age regression. Clinically speaking, age regression is a psychological coping mechanism. Patients mentally retreat to a younger age to escape severe anxiety, stress, or past trauma. During this time, Skylar would show Dino doing things you'd expect from someone trying to heal an inner child, wearing oversized onesies, using a pacifier, or playing with stuffies to feel safe. It was the kind of innocent comfort that a supportive community could easily validate. But it didn't stay innocent for long. Soon, Skylar crossed a line that the internet couldn't ignore. In May 2021, Skylar posted 2 deeply disturbing audios to their TikTok feed. The first audio featured the little alter Dino using a soft baby-like voice to complain about being scared. They asked Daddy to fetch them their stuffy.
Daddy, I'm scared. Please cuddle with me. I don't know where my passy went. Can you get my stuffy?
And if there was any lingering doubt that this was all innocent, the second audio clip shattered it completely. In this audio, the caregiver persona, aka Daddy, told the child alter Dino to come cuddle with them.
It's time for bed, little one. Or you can't sleep? Well, come cuddle with me.
That was the moment the content crossed a definitive line, shifting away from harmless therapeutic tools and straight into the bizarre. From here on, Skylar would actively start introducing the aesthetics of an adult community to the mainstream audience. When those audios didn't trigger any backlash, Skylar took the silence as a green light. Soon after, the feed was flooded with roleplay conversations between Daddy and Dino. Daddy, Daddy, look, you're a Dino baby. Roar, you silly cute Dino. It means I love you in dinosaur. I love you too, my cute Dino. Some of these conversations were even masked as trans-inclusive representation, trying to make the dynamic look progressive rather than problematic. Daddy looks up from video game. What is it, Prince? Whines and looks down at sensitive parts. I can't help if you don't talk. Looks up sadly. Why do you have to be so mean? Pokes chest. Turns off console and looks at me in the eyes. You are my baby boy, and no matter what you look like, you were always a boy in my eyes. I love you, Prince. However, these tricks didn't stop viewers from seeing that these role plays leaned more towards age play than age regression. Here's the difference. Age regression is a psychological coping mechanism for trauma. Age play is an adult used for physical or romantic gratification. There's nothing therapeutic about it. As disturbing as this whole thing already was, the last thing the internet had expected was for Skylar's child alters to turn into an advertisement strategy. A couple weeks later, Skylar began using their platform to proudly promote an online store named Dark Fairy Tale Desires. The name alone sounded ominous, but a quick look at the shop's bio revealed a much darker reality. It explicitly labeled itself a BDSM shop with a strict policy stating minors were not allowed. Despite the strict adult nature of the storefront, Skylar regularly filled their feed with their products, showing off bedazzled pacifiers, giant onesies, and stuffed animal Dinos supposedly got from the store. Skylar provided their viewers with a personalized code for a 15% discount, proving this wasn't just a random shout-out. They were allegedly partnered with the brand. As Skylar got more comfortable, the content only became more and more unhinged. On May 30th, 2021, Skylar posted a video of them role-playing as a dog. The internet couldn't look away from this. For anyone who is still giving Skylar the benefit of the doubt, this was the absolute last straw. This upload proved without a doubt that Skylar was using their DID content as a cover to display some kind of kink. And what made Skylar's true intentions even more ominous were the frequent posts about looking for a caregiver. The viewers finally started taking notice, and Skylar faced heavy backlash from both the DID and age regression circles. Your partner wouldn't tell you, so here I am. Please get off the internet and never come back. Nobody likes you. You're milking a very serious mental disorder and acting like it's cute. I really feel bad for you, bro. You're really that starved of attention that you'll harm the people who struggle with DID. How is it that 0.1% of the population has it, but yet 20% of TikTok does? In response, Skylar uploaded a video to clarify their stance, proudly stating that they weren't an age regression account at all. Instead, they admitted to be an active participant in the adult community and claimed they'd been there for 7 long years.
I am not an age regression account. I participate in the community and have for the last 7 years.
But viewers quickly did the math. Skylar was 22 at the time. Claiming a 7-year history meant they'd been engaging with these adult dynamics since they were 15 years old. It was a horrifying confession, indicating something was seriously wrong, and it caused the public backlash to absolutely skyrocket. With the backlash growing too loud to ignore, Skylar finally had to speak up. In July 2021, they put out what was supposed to be an apology, which immediately made things worse. They started by doubling down, claiming they could act as a little and still participate in the kink community. Then they proceeded to apologize for the misleading SFW age regression community into thinking they were one of them. But at that moment, it felt like the worst apology ever. Skylar said, "I am sorry if I cross-tagged," which I didn't think I did. They had no intention of taking actual accountability, nor were they showing an ounce of remorse. This was strictly about clearing their name. But what made things truly worse was Skylar's attack on the viewers. They implied that anyone calling out their behavior was just anti-kink and told them they weren't welcome in their space anymore. As you can imagine, this apology only resulted in further backlash and criticism. However, all this backlash couldn't force Skylar to back down. In fact, they did the exact opposite. Skylar tried to convince the audience that their little alters had nothing to do with the adult themes, and that they only as the host were involved in the community. Now, to be completely fair, being part of that community isn't inherently a crime. What consenting adults do in private spaces, up to them. The problem with Skylar's content was them using actual disorders to introduce their kids to an audience of viewers. The response to the outrage, however, was the bare minimum, a do not interact warning for anyone under 16, which they didn't even bother pinning to their feed. For most people, having an entire community turn on you is a sign to log off. But Skylar didn't lie low. They kept hitting record, completely unaware that they were soon going to make things worse for themselves. With every new upload, the content grew increasingly forced and bizarre. In one of their videos, Skylar tried to show a switch on camera, which, let's face it, is the ultimate favorite stunt for DID fakers.
And trying to catch the switch on camera. Just to kind of see what happens. Why am I on camera? I thought I was just watching Baby Shark.
This was easily the worst switch in the history of DID fakers. If you talk to anyone who actually has witnessed real DID, they'll tell you that switching isn't easy, and it's definitely not a choice. Most patients spend a long time completely unaware that they even have alters, and discovering them takes years of professional therapy. The viewers saw right through the act. Switches are painful, exhausting, and triggered by deep emotional stress or other stimuli. According to the experts, intentional switching isn't easy, and not everyone can master it. The higher the dissociative barriers, the harder it is. That means it can be impossible when we just start out, and the more integrated we are, the easier it gets. This, however, wasn't the end. Skylar's content just kept becoming more and more absurd with every passing day. In late 2021, Skylar claimed that their Dino altar split twice in one day, forming two little elves, Misa and Maze. The problem with splitting is that while TikTokers speak about it as if it's some casual everyday event, the clinical reality is incredibly grim. Splitting only happens when the brain faces unmanageable, overwhelming trauma that no existing alter can endure. Splitting twice within 24 hours would mean experiencing ongoing abuse in real time. Yet looking back at Skylar's profile during those exact days, there wasn't a single indication that anything of the sort was happening. The second red flag was Skylar's claim that these new alters were little elves and not humans. Now, to be fair, non-human alters are actually quite common in genuine DID patients, and many systems have more than one, but they don't just appear out of nowhere. According to experts, these alters typically form during early childhood, a time when a child's mind is still figuring out the boundaries of what's real and what isn't. An adult can only split a new non-human alter if that specific mental foundation has already been built back into their childhood. Skylar's history showed 0 initial non-human alters, meaning the sudden appearance of these elves completely contradicted how the disorder actually works. Yet the most chilling part of this story isn't what Skylar was putting on camera, it was the truth they were hiding behind it. When public skepticism finally peaked, the conversation shifted to a single question. Did Skylar actually have proof of a diagnosis? Now, in any other context, fake claiming would have been considered a very toxic move. Demanding someone's medical history is a line you shouldn't cross, and no online creator should ever have to prove their illness to a mob. But Skylar's case was a dangerous exception. The critics demanding answers weren't just being malicious, they were reacting to a legitimate threat. Between Skylar's history of disturbing behavior, their ridiculously unrealistic portrayal of a complex psychiatric condition, and the fact that actual DID patients and minors were consuming this content regularly, demanding clarity became a matter of community safety. The viewers were cynical, and rightly so. Trapped in a corner, Skylar finally addressed the accusations they had been dodging.
Yes, I might be undiagnosed, but that does not mean I am not in the process of being diagnosed. Just because I'm not officially diagnosed doesn't mean I'm not going through all the treatments and all the tests and all that kind of stuff.
The truth didn't make anyone happy. In fact, it only raised more alarms. Skylar had been running this account for over a year. If they had actually been in intensive therapy this entire time while displaying such extreme, severe symptoms, a clinical diagnosis should have already happened. This revelation heavily implied that Skylar wasn't in therapy at all. They were self-diagnosing behind closed doors. Skylar once again tried to turn the tables on their viewers, implying that anyone questioning their condition was just being judgmental.
Anything. Because you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know the process I'm going through. So, if you don't know anything, then don't say anything.
But when shifting the blame failed to quiet the noise, Skylar tried a completely different tactic, a public apology. With the new year just around the corner, Skylar used the holidays as a convenient escape hatch, announcing a total restart for their channel. They apologized for their past behavior, but treated the entire controversy like a bad habit they could just drop for a resolution.
This is a new year. This is a new me. I'm moving forward this year. I'm not going backwards. Any drama, any misunderstandings, any arguments of anything for any reason in the past, it's in the past.
Despite the grand promises of a New Year's reset, Skylar's actual habits didn't change at all. Instead of fixing their past mistakes, Skylar spent 2022 expanding their digital footprint. They kept posting over-dramatic, cringy content, introducing endless new alters, while begging their audience to join their Discord and follow their backup channels. But the real danger was behind the scenes. Just like their public accounts, Skylar's Discord completely lacked age restrictions, leaving a highly sensitive, adult-themed community wide open to impressionable minors. Most concerningly, Skylar began frequently showing their inner world on camera, mapping it out and treating it like a fantasy sandbox for the audience's entertainment. For actual DID patients, the inner world is not a stage play or a virtual reality video game. It's a deeply private, highly sensitive mental visualization used strictly in clinical therapy to help fractured parts communicate and process severe trauma. By turning this internal therapeutic tool into an aesthetic spectacle, they were actively glamorizing a severe psychological defense mechanism for views. And right in the middle of this chaotic content cycle, Skylar quietly deployed a defensive tactic that nobody saw coming. At some point in 2023, Skylar silently changed their bio to diagnosed, without any explanation, context, or details about the clinical process they had allegedly gone through. As I've already mentioned, in any normal context, a creator wouldn't owe their audience a medical debriefing. But given Skylar's explicit history of operating a DID account for over a year while being undiagnosed, this sudden label felt like a calculated shield against future criticism. It was hard to accept this new tag just at face value, yet that was the only change the viewers would ever get to see. Throughout 2024 and 2025, Skylar continued to treat DID as nothing more than a vehicle for views and entertainment, keeping their content firmly rooted in their relationship drama. Ironically, it was this petty relationship drama that finally gave Skylar's channel a small spike in traction. It wasn't a massive audience, but it was just enough noise to catch the attention of a few commentary YouTubers. Recognizing the deeper red flags behind the cringe, these creators began making videos analyzing Skylar, not just to critique the drama, but to actively expose the real-world harm of their platform and warn vulnerable viewers to stay safe. For a long time, this outside criticism seemingly flew under the radar until recently. Upon finally discovering these commentary videos, Skylar responded with a 5-minute video of their own. But instead of addressing the actual safety concerns, they essentially argued that the internet was attacking them for no reason. Skylar claimed that people were unfairly judging them based on who they were all the way back in 2021, insisting they had completely changed since then and simply wanted to be left alone.
His videos from 2021. Wow. It is 2026, buddy. Things have changed.
They further went on to confess that they left the kink community and that they were officially diagnosed by a psychiatrist in 2023.
I am no longer part of the kink community. I was officially diagnosed by a psychiatrist.
Skylar argued that nobody could have the energy to fake an entire disorder for 5 whole years, and that people should just get a life instead of coming after them.
The whole faking dissociative identity disorder. Let me tell you, it is not fun to have this disorder. Why are people still coming after me for things that happened 5 years ago? Get a life.
And because their new audience didn't know the whole backstory, this victim play of Skylar's worked like a charm. People began heavily sympathizing with them, completely blind to the years of manipulation that came before. Suddenly, the comment sections were filled with defenders claiming Skylar was just being bullied and harassed by malicious commentary channels, urging them to ignore the haters. Ultimately, Skylar's story became the case study of why we need to be more critical of the information we consume online. TikTok has basically turned mental health into a commodity where diagnoses are handed out based on likes and engagement. And let's be real, when creators hide behind a severe psychiatric condition to mask their kinks, they aren't just being cringe, they're actively drowning out the voices of actual survivors who are just trying to navigate a devastating reality. It's honestly so ironic how a platform that's obsessed with community guidelines lets this predatory content go straight to millions of teenagers. As of 2026, not much has changed. Skylar's account is still active, the alters are still being churned out, and about 9,000 people consume this content. At the end of the day, Skylar never actually changed their habits. They just found an audience that stopped asking questions, and that's something that should not be normalized.